All right, everybody. I am Tony Paniche, and I am 1 year sober today. And I'm making this video to explain my process because I've gotten a lot of questions. And to be honest, like 6 weeks after I quit drinking and did my little 30-day detox process, I had a discussion with one of my coworkers, and she ended up doing something similar. And since then, she's lost 45 pounds, completely transformed her life, and she looks fantastic. And it really made me realize that there's probably a lot of other people out there that are secretly going through something like I was and like she was. And so I just wanted to, you know, put my process out there that I used because it is a little unique. And it'll just kind of give people more options. AA and rehab are both fantastic options as well. If you have those resources, use them. But I didn't want to do that. I was afraid going to rehab or AA would basically expose me. And I was afraid of that, to be honest. So I decided to do it on my own. And this is how I did it. Before I tell you my process and my strategy, just to give you a little context of how I ended up in the situation in the first place, was I would drink secretly, to be honest. You really wouldn't see me getting belligerent, at least in my later 20s. You wouldn't see me getting belligerent at the Christmas party or someone's birthday or anything like that. I'd usually have like one or two and just kind of nurse it all night long. My thing was I would just want to go home and hide by myself and just drink. And by the end of it, I was drinking at least a fifth a day. I mean, it was bad. I was going through like a half gallon every like 2 or 3 days, if not more. And yeah, I had a high tolerance. So how did I get there? Well, it kind of started when I turned 30, transitioning from my 20s to my 30s, going from a boy to a man in a lot of ways. That was kind of a difficult transition. Also with my relationship, I got back together with my ex for the 6th time. Don't do that. If you break up 5 or 6 times, don't get back together with them. Like, just let it be, move on. But I did. And I, for some reason, was in this frame of mind thinking that the problem was me, that I needed to change something. And so I thought the solution was, all right, well, let's get married and not break up anymore. And, I'm going to change. And so I did change. And unfortunately, my instincts were correct. And 18 months later, she was gone. She left very abruptly, and no one really saw it coming. And it was pretty messy. So that sucked. And the timing of it was just terrible. In November of 2019, my dad had a stroke, and he's paralyzed on half of his body for the rest of his life, basically bedridden for the rest of his life. And then a month and a half later, on January 1st, 2020, my wife left. And that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back that sent me down spiraling. I was kind of already moving in that direction anyways, but that definitely gave me the push to go into a very dark place. And then in February of 2020, my cat of 12 years died, who was like my best buddy. That didn't help. And then COVID happened. And COVID was this brilliant cover for me to stay away from people and stay away from everything and not have to go out. And I could just stay in by myself and just drink and go deeper down this dark rabbit hole, unfortunately. So yeah, the timing was just terrible. So anyways, I was basically in this like deep, dark, depressive, semi-suicidal state for a while, for almost 3 years. And I didn't really see a way out. To be honest, during that period, I was kind of hoping that, I fly a lot for work, and I was kind of hoping that, maybe the plane would just crash, and or I would get some weird infection or something like that and just die. And that would be so much easier than having to change everything, because I just couldn't really see a way out. I was just spiraling so bad, and it sucked. It really, really sucked. And I would think about it every day, every night. I would think like, gotta stop drinking. I know this is the problem. I know this is making me depressed. I know it's making me tired. I know it's making me fat. I'm only 5'7", and my natural weight is around 150, and I was up to 195. So basically like 40 pounds overweight. And it was just getting worse and worse. And you could see it in my eyes. I earlier I made a post and showed some before and after photos. You know what? I'll just go ahead and show them now. Once again, it's a little embarrassing, but whatever. So here's the after photos. All right. This is just like 3 weeks ago. Did a photo shoot, feeling good. And this is 1 year ago. You can see that I'm smiling, but you can see the pain in my eyes. Yeah, I was not happy. I was just drunk and depressed and hungover all the time. And you can really, really just see it in my face, and especially in my eyes. And then this is now. So yeah, there's your before and after. All right. So you know how I got there, deep, dark place under the cover of COVID. And again, it was like secret drinking. I was drinking at home by myself. So a lot of people just didn't realize how bad the problem was. They just thought I was, out of shape and a little haggard, but didn't really understand the big picture of what was going on. And then in April of 2022, so last year, April, I met someone awesome. And she was full of life, had this amazing spark to her. And it was just that little bit of inspiration that I needed. I kind of saw a little bit of myself, my past self in her. I'm like, I used to be like that. And so I wanted to get out of it. I finally decided I was going to put together a plan and make something happen. So I didn't want to go to AA. I didn't want to go to rehab. I wanted to do this on my own. And so I needed to put together a game plan where basically every minute of every day for a month would be planned, because I knew that it only takes 21 days to form a habit, and I wanted to build new healthy habits. And so what I did was, in order to get away from everyone and everything, I rented an Airbnb in another city. Unfortunately, it was July and everything's hot everywhere, and I wanted to be near ocean and trees. So I was kind of limited on where I could go. But luckily, in Santa Cruz, during the month of July, it stays kind of upper 60s, mid 70s, even in July. So the weather was perfect. I wasn't going to be able to use the excuse of, oh, it's too hot, or, oh, it's too cold outside, as an excuse. It was going to be just right. I got a gym membership for a month. I think it cost me $1, just because it was like a special they did for your first month. And then I just canceled it. And yeah. So before I show you the process, some of the other things I did was I got one of those calendars. It's like a dry erase board. And every single day I would write down my weight. My trick was to be consistent. My trick was I would weigh myself every single morning when I wake up. I would go pee first. Got to go pee first. And also weigh yourself naked. So you can't give the excuse of, oh, these clothes are heavier, these shoes are heavier, or I have my car keys on me. Like, it's just naked, empty bladder. That's when you should weigh yourself first thing in the morning. And now you can have, consistent data. The other thing was no carbs. So the diet was basically the barbecue diet. That's not really a real thing. I just made that up. But I called it the barbecue diet. Basically, if I couldn't cook it on a traditional barbecue, I wasn't going to eat it. So I really just lived off of meat and veggies. There's a lot of things you can do with meat and veggies. It's not as boring as you think, especially for me, because I like frog legs and octopus and weird exotic animals. I don't know. I'm a weirdo and I eat weird stuff. But it was fun. Let's see, what else did I do? Some of the other tricks were no sugar at all. So I did buy lots of sugar-free gummies and candies. You can get them at any grocery store. There's actually, if you go to the candy section, there is a sugar-free section, and you can get all kinds of really good stuff. Pro tip though, only eat one bag. A lot of those candies have a ton of fiber in them. And I mean, you are by yourself for a month in this situation, so it's fine if the side effects of fiber don't bother you. But I found out the hard way. That was weird and gross. And then the other thing is going completely cold turkey off everything is tricky. So I used edibles. So CBD edibles that have a little bit of THC in them. And then I like the ones that actually have CBN. CBN is relatively new, but it kind of makes you feel heavier. It's mostly used for before bed to help you go to sleep. But for me, it kind of resembled being drunk, to be honest. And so a couple of those gummies, and it was like the equivalent of having like 2 or 3 cocktails, as far as how I felt. So in the evenings, it would kind of help me go to sleep. And then I also microdosed mushrooms. Mine are, if you've never microdosed mushrooms before, you probably have the totally wrong idea of what it is. That doesn't mean like you're just only seeing a little bit of color, seeing a few little weird things here and there. It's none of that. It's all body when you're microdosing mushrooms. And it really does, if you do it the way I do it, it's about the equivalent of like, again, 2 or 3 cocktails. It just feels different, and it's awesome, and it's natural. And for me, at least, it's not addictive. Neither are the CBD gummies. But it definitely helps you chill out in the evening and go to sleep. And then also like flavored seltzer waters, obviously alcohol free, flavored seltzer waters. So you have almost like a mocktail. It makes you think you're drinking if you have that routine, that habit. So yeah, those are the things that helped replace the alcohol. And then another thing is no special occasions. I can't emphasize this enough. No special occasions. You don't get to say, oh, it's somebody's birthday, or it's New Year's, or it's Thanksgiving, or whatever your favorite holiday is. You don't get to have a sip and try to pick and choose when and where you're going to drink on special occasions, because let's be honest, you can't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself. I couldn't trust myself. And so just cut it out completely. If your friends and family get the hint that you might be willing to take a sip on New Year's or whatever that special occasion is, they're going to try. They don't know how destructive it is when they do that. It's an accident. They mean well, but they're screwing it up. So just tell everybody it's 100% no alcohol, for the first 30 days. And then after you get to 30 days, you're like, actually, now that I'm here, it actually is easy to keep going. And then extend it to 6 months. And then when you get to 6 months, be like, let's go for a full year. And just keep kind of pushing it out like that. But make sure everybody knows that there's no special occasions whatsoever, because you can't trust yourself. Just don't do it. If you want to get a buzz, there's lots of ways to get buzz. You can get a buzz with CBD gummies or microdosing mushrooms. Stay away from the hard drugs. Obviously, you're not trying to trade one bad problem for another bad problem, but if it grows in the ground and it's natural and it's not really addictive, maybe use that to get a little buzz or relax. Alcohol doesn't have to be your only option. So those are the tricks that I used. Now for the process, I'll give you what I did day to day. Guess I have notes in front of me. That's why I keep looking down. But my day to day basically worked like this, and I'm going to tell you all the gross stuff too. Get over it. You need to know all the details. So wake up at 6 a.m. Go pee, weigh myself naked. Then I would have my coffee and stretch. And while I'm waking up, for like 30 minutes, I usually watch the show Alone or Naked and Afraid because I like that stuff. I like outdoorsy adventures. So I'd watch that. And then as the coffee kicks in, the side effects, I went poo. And then after that, I would brush my teeth and then go to the gym for 30 minutes. This is the fun part. I'm only going to the gym for 30 minutes and I'm doing heavy, heavy weights, no warm up, no building up, just right to heavy weights. And for 30 minutes. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to the point where I have that hormonal response and I would start to sweat and get that tingle in your body, knowing that your kind of energy system in your body switched over. And yeah, that's all I did. 30 minutes. And then I would go home, have my breakfast, and my breakfast was the same thing every day. I did bring a crock pot with me and I would slow cook chicken or steak or pork. And then so every morning I would just take some shredded meat, throw some eggs on it, a scoop of refried beans, avocado, and hot sauce. And yes, refried beans will wreak havoc on your system, but you're alone for a month, so who cares? It's just you. And yeah, I would eat that every day. And then for snacks at lunch, I would usually have like a handful of like sliced deli meat, like sliced turkey or something like that. And then maybe like some raw broccoli, or some other veggies as a snack. And then I would work remotely. So I would work from 9 a.m. to noon. And then at noon, I would have my hour break. I would have my little snack. And then after that, I would usually stretch and then also lay out in the backyard for about like 20 or 30 minutes on a towel and just tan. Tanning is underrated. It really does help a lot. when you're going through this, because yes, the vitamin D and the sun is going to, physically make you feel better by having that in your system, but also just getting tanner in general, looking in the mirror, like you look healthier when you're tanner. So every day you're getting a little bit more tan, and you kind of slimming down a bit, and it kind of builds your confidence. So I did that, and then again, go back to work from 1 to 5. And then as soon as it hit 5 o'clock, I would jump in the car, go right back to the gym again. And this is when I would do my cardio, which is in the evenings. And that was only for about 30 to 45 minutes. I don't like running, so I would just walk really, really fast on the treadmill. And the key was I would stay on the treadmill, and I would keep my heart rate above 120 for 30 minutes plus. So you wear an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something like that, and keep your heart rate above 120 for 30 minutes. And again, you start to sweat, get that hormonal response, and then you're good to go. So really, it's only about an hour of working out each day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, heavy weights in the morning, cardio in the evening. Then I would go home. As soon as I got home, I would take my little gummy edible of CBD, and knowing I have 45 minutes before it kicks in, that's when I would cook. And my dinner is usually fun, frog legs, octopus, or just normal stuff like steak and chicken. It's fine. But I try to make my dinners a little bit more fun. And then as soon as I'm done cooking and I start eating, that's when the edible started to kick in. It's been about 45 minutes. And on the dot every day at 7 o'clock, I would start a movie, not a show, because a show, you're just going to want to watch one more episode, and then you're going to stay up late and you're going to break your cycle. A movie, though, is usually about 2 to 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. And then there's closure at the end of a movie. And so you can actually go to bed. With a show, you don't really have closure. So this is like a subtle little detail, but watch a movie, start it at 7 o'clock every day. When the movie's over, go to bed, get a full 8 hours of sleep, and then start the routine again. So that's the routine. It's pretty simple. No friends, no family, no visitors. Because one of the reasons why is because if you have people around, or even going to AA, I'm not talking down on AA. It's, I've never been, I don't know how it actually works, but I know that you have to talk about it. And I just didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to forget about it. And I just wanted to distract myself and work out and eat healthy and go have fun and pretend like alcohol doesn't exist until it doesn't anymore for me. And it worked. And I knew if I had friends around, they would all ask the same questions. How you doing? Is it hard not drinking? It's been 2 weeks. Like, aren't you craving it? Don't make me think about that. Don't ask me that question, during that period. At least that's me. So after about 21 days, you form a habit. And then after a full 30 days, you've really locked in that habit and that new routine. And it's pretty easy. For the weekends, make sure you plan out your weekends. Do not trust yourself to make good choices on the weekends, all right? Especially during those 30 days. Just plan out every minute of every day, including the weekends. So on the weekends, what I did is about a week or two in advance, I would go on Airbnb. And even if you're not using Airbnb, just go there and click on experiences. And you can actually book tours and activities and all kinds of fun stuff to fill up your time on the weekends. So I did a survival course where I got to learn how to make friction fires and shelters. I did a wild edibles and edible plants course. I did one where I got to hike the redwood forest and see some really cool stuff. I went spearfishing, basically just filled up every minute of the weekend because I can't trust myself during those 30 days. So fill up every minute of every day, have fun, do the things you love to do. And like I said, if you need a buzz in the evening, you don't have to go to alcohol. It doesn't have to be your only option. You can use some sort of gummy or microdose mushrooms if you're trying to use my system. It's not really a system. It's not a format. It's just what I did. And and no special occasions ever. That's a huge thing. After 30 days, it is really easy. I promise. The first couple of weeks, especially the first couple of days, it's so hard. When I first got down there, I thought I was going to start on July 1st. To be honest, I had a few beers with me and I kept drinking them all the way until 4th of July. And then 4th of July, it was just done, no more. And then I started my routine and kept it going ever since, and haven't had a drop since 4th of July last year, which is pretty awesome. like I said before, it was really, really dark beforehand. I was really depressed. I thought dying would be easier, and I didn't really see a way out. And I knew what the problem was. I just couldn't do anything about it. And then finally, yeah, I got that little spark, that last little push by meeting somebody that inspired me. And then I put together my game plan and executed it and haven't looked back since. So I weigh 155 now. So I'm 40 pounds lighter. I'm healthy physically and mentally. I feel amazing. I know everyone says that when they quit drinking, but it's true. You can feel this way too. You will say the same thing that I'm saying right now. If you make this decision and commit to it. And I hope you do. And for all of you out there that are watching this and you're keeping it a secret, no one really knows how bad it is. You're doing it in private, and you can't escape, call me. All right. Send me a message. I'll keep your secrets. I'm not going to tell anybody, and I'll guide you through it. I was in an incredibly dark, shitty place for a long time, and no one should have to go through that. And if there's something I can do to help you, I will. All right. And to everyone else, thank you so much for all the love and the support that you guys have been giving me. It, makes me feel really good. And I'm happy to help and inspire anyone that I can to go on this journey too. Oh, okay. This is the 4th time I've recorded this because I keep crying at the end, but I held it together this time. You're welcome. Nobody wants to see me cry. All right. Love you all. And remember, it does get better. Life's awesome. It really is. And I'll see you guys around. Bye.